Elyse TV.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Raven and Ziya. Today I am bringing you Ziya's updated wash day routine for curly hair for kids, and this is going to be focusing on tips for easy detangling and dealing with fussy kids on wash day. Getting your hair washed and detangled is definitely not necessarily a fun time for toddlers and young kids, and Ziya is now getting to the point where it is becoming a little bit more of a struggle because her hair is getting longer. She has curly hair that gets tangled easily, and she tends to be a little fussy when I wash her hair. So these are just some little tips and tricks that I use to make it a little bit easier. So step number one and tip number one is to just use little plastic rubber bands to style her hair. That way when it comes time to take her hair down and wash her hair, I'm able to just cut the rubber bands and throw them away. You can see here that I'm just trying to remove some clips from the front of her hair, and she's already fussing and she's already giving me a hard time and saying that it's hurting her and pulling her hair. So I definitely would not be able to try and remove scrunchies or other types of rubber bands from her hair. I have to just cut them out. So I just use these little tiny scissors to cut out these little plastic rubber bands. They come in like packs of hundreds of rubber bands and they're super cheap, so you don't have to feel bad about cutting them and throwing them away when you're done with them. So after I get done taking her hairstyle down, whether it be a bun, a ponytail, braids, whatever it might be, it's always kind of clumped up when I first take the rubber bands out. It's kind of matted, it's pretty tangly, and it's just overall like clumped up. So before I put water on her hair, I like to go in with my hands and separate her hair out of those clumps and kind of get the detangling process going. It's basically like finger combing. I'm being very gentle and I'm just separating her hair into more of a poofy, I don't even know how to explain it, but I just don't want it to be all clumped up, because if I put water on it like that, the water is just going to make the hair clump up even more and make the detangling process even harder.
It's also banana. It's a banana, mommy. That is banana.
So here you can kind of see the difference between the side that I finger combed and the other side that hasn't been done yet. It's actually a pretty big difference. Tip number three is pretty obvious, but I always make sure to give Ziya plenty of toys in the bathtub to help distract her while I'm washing her hair so that she's not so fussy. And you don't have to go out and buy special bath toys. Any plastic toy from her toy box that's waterproof is fine for the bathtub, but I just make sure to give her tons of stuff to play with so that she's distracted. Okay, now Ziya's hair has been fully finger combed and fluffed out, and I got most of the major knots, mats, and tangles out with my hands before I wet it down. So now I can go ahead and wet it down. So for this first time that I'm wetting her hair, I'm just gonna go ahead and use this little pitcher and get water from the bathtub to wet her hair down. But actually going forward, every other time that I rinse her hair, like when I'm rinsing out her shampoo and when I'm rinsing out her conditioner, I do not use the water from the bathtub that she's sitting in, because it has bubble bath in it, it's gonna have shampoo all in it, and technically it's dirty water, so you're not really getting a good rinse if you just use the water from the bathtub. So this is the only time that I'm gonna use the water from the bathtub, just because I'm about to wash her hair anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But going forward, you will see that I will use clear water from the faucet. So my next tip when you are trying to wet the hair or rinse the hair is to use a little toy as a distraction, or give her something to look at so that she'll look up and tilt her head back, so that I don't have to worry about getting water all in her face, and it just helps me control where I need her head to be to do what I'm trying to do. This just really helps for toddlers and little kids who may not be so good at following directions yet.
What's that hair called, mommy?
Curly hair.
Like Kima.
Like who?
Like Kima from Bubble Pea.
Oh yeah, she has curly hair.
Mm-hmm. You have curly hair.
All right, now finally on to shampoo. I'm still using the Can2 Kids shampoo from my previous videos. I really like this shampoo for Ziya's hair and her hair texture. It works really well. So I just use a generous amount of this. And my tip for shampooing with curly hair is to always do everything in a downwards motion, dragging the shampoo down from the roots to the tips and kind of pulling and almost straightening the hair out as you go, not balling the hair up on the top of the head like you see in shampoo commercials where they're just scrubbing the hair all around and lathering it up. That is just going to really tangle curly hair. So I do everything in a downwards motion. You can see I'm just pulling the shampoo through and it is still creating a really nice lather and getting everything clean. And I'm separating the hair into smaller chunks as I go to make sure that I'm washing each piece of hair. So with the way that I'm pulling the shampoo through the hair, it's almost like I'm detangling the hair as I go and just definitely making sure that I'm not adding any extra tangles in there. And it's also washing the hair really, really well because you're getting to every single piece of hair. And then I go back to the roots and then I scrub her roots just like separately on its own without balling the ends of her hair up to her roots, if that makes sense. Like I just don't want to cause any more tangles than I have to. And I just do everything in sections to make it easier. So I start with one half of her hair, I divide that into even smaller sections as I go. Then when I'm done with that, I move on to the other side of her hair, divide that into small sections. To me, it's just a better technique rather than just putting shampoo all over her whole head and just scrubbing her whole head in one big clump, if that makes sense. All right, so going back to what I was saying about rinsing her hair, you can see if I just get water out of the bathtub, it literally is all soapy from the bubble bath and the shampoo that has fallen into the tub. So I'm not really gonna be able to rinse her hair very well with that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use clear water from the faucet to make sure that I'm rinsing the shampoo out really, really well. Because if you leave shampoo in your hair, it's gonna make your hair really dry and that's gonna make it even harder to detangle. Another thing that I do, because Ziya is still small enough to do this, I just tell her to sit underneath the bathtub faucet and I just rinse her hair that way instead of using the little cup or whatever.
Is that the conditioner?
Yes, this is the conditioner.
Giving it in my hand. Can you give it in my hand, Mommy? I need some too, Mommy.
All right, now for conditioner. Again, I'm still using the same conditioner from previous videos, the Aussie 7-in-1 Total Miracle Conditioner. And Ziya wanted to get some too and help with this step. So I always let her like try to be a part of it if she wants to. You know, anything to make it a little bit more fun and a little bit less of a chore. And I just use a very generous amount of conditioner. And I'm basically doing the same thing that I did with the shampoo in terms of raking it through the hair in a downwards motion from root to tip and separating the hair as I go to make sure that I fully saturate her head with conditioner. And yes, I use a lot of conditioner. The more conditioner, the better. So I'm just continuing to add the conditioner to her hair, and you can see right here that I have yet to even put a comb, run a comb through her hair at all yet, but it's already starting to look pretty detangled and the curls are starting to look really defined, and that's just from all the finger combing and separating and doing everything in sections. So by the time I actually do use a comb, it should be a lot easier. Then I like to just go back and add a little bit more conditioner, just focusing on the ends of her hair. Like I said, the more conditioner the better. And then I kind of just twist her hair up, get it out of her face, and let the conditioner sit for at least 5 to sometimes 10 minutes while she just plays in the bathtub. Okay, now we are finally on to the actual detangling with an actual comb. It's all about the prep work, you guys, so that you don't end up just sitting there with a comb going through hell trying to detangle your kid's hair. So the prep work is necessary, and trust me, it makes a big difference. But now we are finally about to actually use a comb. So I actually use a combination of 3 different hair tools to detangle her hair, and it goes from largest to smallest. So I start with a very wide tooth comb, basically like a pick. I got this set of 2 combs from Walmart. So I start with the blue one because it's very wide, and that's going to be phase 1, and then we're going to move on to phase 2, which is the slightly smaller comb, and phase 3, which is an actual wet brush. So starting with the wide tooth comb, I'm just doing the classic curly hair detangling method. You always start from the ends of the hair, not the roots, and you work your way up with a wide tooth comb. So I'm just doing that, and I'm doing it in sections. So you see I've divided off a section in the front of her hair to work with, and once I've completely combed out that section, I will move on to the rest of her hair section by section. Another tip that you can use if your child is complaining that it's hurting is to actually hold the hair really tight with your other hand so that they're not feeling the tension coming from their scalp. But once I'm able to easily comb through her hair with the blue comb, then I will move on to the purple comb because there's still tangles in her hair. They're just smaller tangles, and I have to use a smaller comb to get the smaller tangles out. So we're just working our way up. Honestly, just for time's sake, sometimes I don't even bother with using multiple different sized combs, but the reason why I try to is because it hurts her less if I start with a wider tooth comb that's not tugging on her hair so much. If I go straight in with the finer tooth comb, it's definitely going to be tugging on her hair a lot more, and it's going to be harder to detangle, and she's going to be complaining a lot more. But it usually works out if I do a wide tooth comb, a smaller comb, and then go in with a wet brush or a Denman brush just as a final smoothing method to really define her curls. But even when I am switching through all three of these tools, it actually goes by really fast, and it's not that hard to detangle her hair because of all the prep work that I did beforehand. But if I am going to use the brush, I always make sure to use it last after all of the tangles are basically out of her hair, just as a smoothing brush, like I said, because you don't really want to go in with this brush straight off because you might end up just breaking the hair or just being too rough on it. So this is just like a last step, and now you can see like how bouncy and how smoothed out and defined her curls are, fully detangled, really easy to comb through. And here you can see how long her hair is getting now. It's like mid back length, which is crazy to think back when she was a baby, when I was like first doing videos with her hair, she only had like 2 strands of hair, and now it's getting pretty long. All right, so now that her hair is fully detangled, the conditioner has been sitting there and soaking in this whole time, we can go ahead and rinse. And like I said, you got to rinse with nice clean water from the faucet. So I'm just rinsing all that conditioner out. Sometimes I try to like leave a little conditioner in her hair as like a leave-in conditioner and not like fully rinse it out, but it honestly doesn't really matter because I am going to be applying an actual leave-in conditioner when she gets out of the bathtub. So either way, and voila, beautiful, clean, healthy, shiny, detangled hair. Even if I take the comb and comb through it again, it goes through so easily. It's nice and detangled and bouncy, looking great, looking luscious. From here, obviously, I would move on with styling her hair once she got out of the bathtub, and I have a video about that if you guys want to check it out. I'll link it down below. But I hope this video helped you. I hope you learned some tips from it. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more toddler hair tutorials in the future, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.